Well, Bradford Ferguson is with us on purpose or by accident. I don't know. It was, you were supposed to switch with Nicholas Gibbs, and he's stuck on some airport tarmac someplace. And so you kindly jumped back in again tonight. Thank you so much for being on board.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I've got a kind of a fun, weirdish kind of thing to do tonight, but I do think it has tremendous application for folks that listen to this show. I think it's directionally right. So let's just try it. I asked Grok if Tesla would hit an all-time high by the end of the year. And I used the deep think approach, and I watched the reasoning. I watched what it was talking about, and some of it was what I would have done. So it was definitely approached a little differently than me. But let's listen to the answer. Given the distribution of sources, bearish from traditional analysts, media, but bullish from retail and people, some high-end targets, I believe Tesla will reach an all-time high by December 31st, 2025.
Mhm.
Potentially hitting 500 plus, substantiated by the strength of upcoming catalysts, which is what I would have said, outweighing near-term risks in a market rewarding AI narratives. So I ran the experiment because Elon Musk said today that X is the best of all of the models that are out there, the best at predicting the future. Did you see that
Yeah.
post?
I did not yet.
Okay, so he showed all the different companies, and apparently they have a rating system for predicting the future, and Grok was right at the top of the
Mhm.
ability to predict the future. And you and I have talked a couple of times.
I'm going to change my lighting here. I'm listening.
Okay.
Keep going, Randy.
You and I have talked a couple of times about the idea that you are using it. In fact, I think we talked on Tuesday night about how you're using it to analyze companies and
Hmm.
how you can imagine a future where you would be analyzing it to make decisions about when to trade, um, you know, uh, directionality, etc. What do you? I mean, the idea that we, start using Grok as a better predictor than other resources about the future. That's a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, I think it's useful, but you have to be careful about leading the witness. So,
Yeah,
did you in your initial question, did you ask like, can Tesla reach all-time highs by year end or
that was it. Exactly, that was the exact
yeah,
question.
I think it's like taking that and leading. So like if you instead ask it, say, Tesla is this price now, and what price do you think it'll be near year end? I think it'll give you a different answer.
All right. So I asked it, what is the likelihood that Tesla will gain 50% share of the autonomous ride-hail revenue by the end of 2026? Is that more open-ended?
I think more open-ended would be
Well,
like what
what
percentage
percentage?
what percentage of the rideshare market do you think Tesla would have by year end?
Well, the good news is that I'm sorry, Grok
Brock?
uh, did what you're saying. So it says by end of 2026, Tesla's robotaxi revenue might reach 2 to 4 billion optimistically, representing 30 to 40% of the US 5 to 10 billion global market. This falls short of the 50% due to a slower than expected scaling, competition from Waymo and China locals, and regional barriers such as getting permits and whatnot. Tesla
Mhm.
could dominate with its data and cost advantage, but 2026 is too soon for majority share.
Yeah, so I agree there's a chance it could be all-time highs by year end.
Uh-huh.
And I think version 14 is much going to be much better than people think, and people aren't ready for how good it could be. Version 13 is 1,000 times better than version 11 for me personally, but if you look at the community tracker as well, there you can see at least 100x improvement in the community tracker.
Right.
Um, so. I think version 14, you have the 10 times parameter count, but you also have them solving some pretty obvious errors it's making is at least going to be 100 times better, if not 1,000 times better. And 100 times better would get us to, uh, you know, one potential accident every half a million miles, which would be on par with humans. And if it's 1,000 times better, then it'd be, superior to humans.
Right.
And one thing that's kind of funny, so like the first half of the year I was using, or it was while I had the Model Y, so this was in March, the new Model Y. I ran it on Uber, but I had it self-driving. And when you're driving on Uber, Uber will give you a score
That's right.
compared to other drivers in your area.
Yeah.
And mine said that my driving was better than 70% of drivers in Indianapolis,
Okay.
except I wasn't driving.
So you weren't driving. Yeah. Right. Right.
It
Yes.
was Tesla self-driving that was
Right.
driving.
Right. I've seen somebody the other day put up a stat like that. It was like over 95% better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but let's come back to the original idea here. And the original idea is now,
So let me connect the dots.
okay. All right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're going to be able to, once they get this going, I think they should be able to take the safety monitor out of the car.
Right.
Um, Maybe they don't because some abundance of caution or whatever they're talking about, but that would allow them to quickly scale in Texas and other parts.
Yeah. So
I would think would cause them to exceed 50% next year,
right.
the
Right.
autonomous rideshare market.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and I are on the same page. I certainly am more optimistic than Grok.
hmm
It comes down to the question. I think what the question is, and I think what the question is different than what I normally, tackle on this channel is
hmm
the use of the tool.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to really concentrate on the use of the
Yeah.
tool
Okay.
because there's lots of future events in our lives that we might want to try to predict.
hmm
And while for this channel, maybe we should stay a little more focused on finance, a little more focused on decision making. But w- how are you thinking about? Let's talk about how you're thinking about the next steps in terms of future predictions. You said you've been analyzing the companies. Are you analyzing the companies and trying to get any idea of their future P&L, their future profits, their future, 5 years out or whatever? Are you trying any of that stuff yet?
What I use it for, and this is like a chat GPT deep research, or you could do something with Grok where it's you're making sure that it's searching the internet, is uh, asking it about how a company is competitively in their industry and
Mhm.
to help you understand the industry dynamics and all that stuff. So I think it can help you understand what advantages a company has, but you have to be neutral in the way you ask it. So um, like I'll ask it about the advantages a company has, and it's accurate, but like I'm kind of biased on some companies.
Sure.
So I think the next step is I need to just ask it about competitive positioning in a more neutral way.
So
Uh,
on your lemonade product, which we talked about
yeah,
on this a lot, you could say, talk to me about the top 20 companies in the auto insurance business, or maybe it has to be
yeah,
more, I'm not sure. But
yeah,
that way
and
you're not giving any hint of your directionality.
yeah, and it did find some things that competitors do that Lemonade doesn't.
Ah,
But you, then I think you have to dig in more. So there's a company called Trupanion. They're big in pet insurance, and they have this thing where they have a partnership with the veterinarians, and the veterinarians get paid directly by Trupanion, so the person doesn't have to file a claim. So
yeah,
that removes a lot of friction.
sure.
However, there's a problem.
Yeah.
You're involving humans.
Yeah,
So, even while it does take away a lot of friction, the cost of it is prohibitive for Trupanion. It's
Yeah,
actually something they complained about where Lemonade doesn't have this problem.
got it. Got it. Yeah, okay. And so those are the kind of things that can come out of a serious research
Yeah.
analysis. Yeah.
And I
And
didn't have to open a bunch of earnings calls for
yeah,
Companion or to go on the bulletin boards and find this out. It found it for me. So
exactly.
there's a lot of power and surfacing things like this. But you can't take it for granted. So
Right.
you gotta keep poking around and poking around.
Yeah. So I don't know, I haven't followed that many. I've never followed a company obviously as closely as I follow Tesla. And we have all kinds of people producing spreadsheets years out into the future. I've done it.
Mhm.
But you've got Stephen Mark Ryan, who's been doing it now for I think 10 years. And he predicts like 10 years into the future. You've got analysts that do it, and sometimes they publish some of their work. So, it seems to me you might be able to ask Grok to give a 5-year forecast for the P&L in detail, uh,
Yeah.
and maybe get something for that.
You could have it fill out like a company financials based off the historical, and then you could have it project those into the future for you. But you can also have it create formulas where if you adjust the numbers up or down, then it, auto calculates, numbers off of that. Um, so you could use it in financial modeling. There's some startup that just raised over 50 million that um so like $1 billion valuation or something like that. All they do is like auto create financial models in Excel.
Interesting. So I have a
This is something anyone could do now. Like you
yeah,
don't you don't
that's
need
what
to pay this other company money to do.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, I have this superpower. It used to be a superpower. My superpower is I can look at any company's P&L, and like within 5 minutes, I'll find I'll find stuff they have no idea is on that in terms of their margins or in terms of if they give me 2 or 3 years of financials, I'll find stuff in 5 minutes. One time I found I found about $500,000 worth of cost savings in 5 minutes and another $500,000 within 24 hours. And this was
Mhm.
on a company that was only doing 3 million, 3.5 million in sales.
Wow,
Yeah. So
that's pretty
it really
substantial.
changed their life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to execute now. You have to do the changes that are necessary.
Mhm.
But it was pretty incredible.
What
So
was the nature of what they needed to change
there,
in a
they,
vague in
if
a
you look,
vague
if you
way?
look back even 2 years, their margins had been, let's say, I don't remember now because it's been, 7 years since I did this, but let's say
Mhm.
the margins had been consistently at 35%. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden their margins are at 25%.
Mhm.
And 10% over 3.5 million would be $350,000, just
Yeah.
like that. Okay. And simultaneously, during that same period, their overhead had gone from, I don't know, from $500,000 a year to $1 million a year. And it was like, wow,
Yeah.
your overhead, so those are not exactly what happened, but something like that.
Mhm.
So then it was okay, you need to look at what you were doing 3 years ago in terms of your overhead and get back to it.
Right.
You obviously don't need this other $500,000. So, but those are things now that you could ask Grok to do.
Yeah.
I'm out of a job.
Yeah. As a consultant, it may be challenging.
But the thing is will people do it? And
Yeah.
that's always going to be the key is
Yeah.
will they even ask the question?
And that's a great point because MIT just did a study of a bunch of companies, and this came out with the Sam Altman quote. So allegedly, 95% of companies are responding that they're not getting value out of generative AI.
95%.
Yeah. And this shocks me.
I'm getting value every single day.
So, like, it sounds to me like maybe they tried it 2 years ago and they've written
Yeah,
it off,
yeah,
or they're just not trying hard enough, or they don't have data they can, or context they can give it where it can help. But I think if you're not getting value out of it, you're not trying hard enough.
So I brought this up the other day in a conversation that I think what I've seen of small business and even medium-sized business owners is sometimes a lot of overwhelm
Yeah.
from new things.
Yeah.
And so you put it in front of somebody and you're like, look, you can get this and this and this and this. And then like, oh, really? Okay. And then they go into it. They don't figure it out right away. Somebody picks up, the phone rings. It's an emergency.
Uh-huh.
They get distracted. They're overdoing this.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, that AGI stuff. Well, I know it could probably, but I got this to do.
Mhm.
And they never get around to I have an even better example. When I
Well, yeah, I think in general business they're busy with
Yeah,
their current jobs.
yeah,
So like you're creating this other thing they have to investigate. Just for anyone, it doesn't even have to be the business owner. It could be a CTO or the tech guy or
sure,
whatever.
sure. Everybody down the
and
line.
and
Yeah,
they're already busy with their jobs, so like for them to devote time to investigating it and really working around the limitations and figuring it out, that takes time that people may not have. So that's why we hired someone to help us with that.
exactly. That's what happens. And you guys hired somebody to do it. That's where the consultant, that's where you come in as a financial planner, is
Mhm.
that the you know, people like me, I'm busy doing what I do. When
Yeah.
I need to decide how much money am I going to put in this pot and how much money am I going to put in that pot, I can ask Grok now, but will I? That
Hmm.
becomes the crazy part of the question. Will I even
Yeah.
And then once I do it, will I have the brains or the knowledge to be able to know if Grok's giving me a decent answer,
Yeah.
and whether or not that would be a wise direction to go? Will I then have, what do you want to call it, the persistence to pursue and keep doing what Grok is recommending long term? Is another issue.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's
So
called discipline.
discipline,
So.
that was the word I was looking for, actually. Yeah. Okay. But it does open, and again, I brought this up to you, I know, like 4 weeks ago, and then again Tuesday night. It seems to me, though, that this could be really radically, a really radical change to the finance industry. We had the speed issue like 10 years ago. You could make the transactions faster by
Mhm.
having a faster server or putting your server in New Jersey or whatever it was. And people were able, you and I are never going to be able to play on those levels. Maybe you will at some point. But now it seems like the utilization of artificial intelligence, as it grows and gets better and better and better, the utilization is potentially going to be dispositive as to how much money you make.
You said dispositive. What's that mean?
It's going to be the key.
Mhm.
It's going to make all the difference in the world if one guy is using a sophisticated analysis through something like Grok or
Mhm.
ChatGPT or whatever, and it's working, and they're able to use the right prompts, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It could make all the difference in the world between whether you're beating the S&P or whether you're not.
Yeah. Uh, we're using it to automate things in our business already. It's already saving us significant time of people that are highly compensated in our business. So it's definitely worth doing. We're having an annual company meeting in a week, and I'm going to be outlining how we're going to use AI-driven automation to 10x our business. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to share this video online
Oh,
of
wow.
me presenting on this. It's pretty exciting
And
for
this
us. 'Cause,
was you had Grok help you develop this.
yeah, it helped me write the speech, but I was already giving it like some context, and I think just the whole process got me to think a little bigger. And so it's like, okay, what all things in our business can we 10x because of automation?
Sure.
So it's not necessarily the AI is making decisions or predicting stuff for us, but it's helping us wrangle our data, automate it in a way that's transformative for our business. So I'm really excited about the speech and I'm trying to keep it a secret with our employees. Hopefully
Okay.
they don't watch it,
They
this
all
video.
watch my program. Are you kidding? They watch all three every single day, every one of your employees. Okay, so let me come back then. Let me come back. I'm gonna narrow this down a little bit even more. Your claim to fame, your the thing that everybody knows your company by is the use of covered calls very, very adroitly
Hmm.
to so that you don't lose the stock all the time, so that you do make the money from selling the options. Wouldn't this be something where you'd be able to go back, actually literally go back into decisions you've made in the past and rate those decisions and have Grok or have an LLM keep track of how the decision process was made and how the results happened, and then have Grok start to make predictions based on your successes and
Hmm.
rate those and rate your own internal capabilities versus Grok's ability to make and it's I mean and just narrow it by a lot.
Yeah, what you're talking about is, yeah, capturing data. So a lot of it can be conversations with me and Matt. So I would need to be capturing those voice conversations, but also, what happens over Zoom or what happens over chat. So those conversations, and then you also might need to layer it in with like what's going on in the world, or what Tesla versus the market, and what Elon's doing on Twitter or whatever. Um, so if you are able to categorize it in a way, you might be able to make some predictions off of that, or at least kind of at least assess like how you've done.
Yeah.
But we know in a given week, after that week's done, like if yeah, how that week did. Um, sometimes we decide not to sell cover calls, and most of the time that's a bad decision.
Done well.
We would have been fine. But there were three times over the last 12 months that we decided not to do cover calls,
Mhm.
that really benefited us. So, past performance is no guarantee of future returns. We do have a performance video out that on our channel, but the weeks we skipped cover calls was in April when we hit that bottom. Maybe that's a little obvious, that
Right,
one.
right, right.
But also the week of the election, we purposely skipped cover calls.
Mhm.
And I think premiums were pretty good because the week prior we had earnings,
Yeah.
and we also skipped that week, and that was also a bad week. So
So,
we
so,
skipped those
so,
weeks,
yeah. So,
and
yeah, but so
and there
even,
are some psychology reasons why we
yeah,
skipped the election week, because I people were just saying that Tesla would go down if Harris was elected, but they also said it wouldn't go up if Trump was elected. And so that was a big
yeah,
signal to me that sentiment was too negative.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So even without capturing all your conversations and
Hmm.
and your Zooms and everything else in order to get the full richness of how you came to this decision, it,
Yeah.
it would seem like there might be 10 and maybe Rock would even tell you what the 10 things are, but there might be 10 things you might be like, okay, the premiums are this high. There's the spreads are this
Yeah.
big. This is what the trading that's happened in the last week. This is kind of what we're seeing in terms of catalysts for the next week. Whatever it is, there might be like 10 things that you would jot down that are the primary things that you're using as your way to analyze it. Then say to Grok, well, what do you think? Grok
Hmm.
would say, oh, well, we think these other five, Grok might say, we think these other five things
Yeah.
are also important in making that decision. And almost like you would do if you had a medical problem, journaling your activity, journaling the activity on a regular basis
Hmm.
in terms of your decision-making process and then what the results were. And with the memory now, over time, Grok's going to say, well, I've been doing this with you now for 12 weeks or 14 weeks, and it seems like you've been too conservative. Maybe you just need to move up 10% in your aggressiveness. I don't know. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, are you trying to get hired, Randy? What's going on here? Yeah, so
I'm trying to talk past you and me to the folks out there.
I
And
know, but
thinking,
these are good ideas. So
okay.
yeah, with the beauty of machine learning, there's other things you could use to try and see if you can predict things from past data. Um, you can scale the data and then have it look at the relative ranking of that data on a historical basis, and then look for categories of patterns or matches. Um, so like the more data you give it at first, the more opportunities it has to find like maybe a data set like you're suggesting that maybe you don't think is relevant, but maybe in combination with something else it is relevant.
Right, right. Yeah, and then just refine it over time. So I'm just thinking in terms of just in general on all of the things that we do on a daily basis, but financially in our finances and or our stock picking, because most of
Mhm.
the people listening are retail stock pickers,
Yeah.
maybe only picking Tesla, but I'm even got a little bit of investment in a few other positions,
Yeah.
very small compared to Tesla.
What gives me hope that there's some ability that for it to be predictive is that um, I think stocks are driven by emotions a lot of the time.
Yeah,
There's a company fundamentals, but then the emotions overlay like a plus or minus 20% on a
yeah,
stock.
yeah.
And I think there's patterns to emotions. So we were buying on August 7th and 8th for clients because we thought we were hitting a peak in the fear and
Okay.
uncertainty.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the Monday and Tuesday after the what Liberation Day or
Liberation.
um and also it's the market's driven by human activity and there's patterns in nature,
Yes, yes.
and though we like to think we have control over nature, I think in a way markets may be a natural system.
Yeah,
So there may be some patterns in there that humans have a hard time spotting, but might be able to be spotted by, AI, machine learning, neural networks, that sort of thing.
right. I also need to ask Rock later whether it's okay for my co-host to wear cooler shirts than me. I mean,
So this one's a Bluey shirt.
a bluey. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Very cool.
the show Bluey. It's a really good show.
Very nice. Okay, let's switch subjects here a little bit. We'll go a little, we'll go slightly political here. What do you think about the U.S. government starting to take stakes in company? We had the Pentagon a few weeks ago taking a stake in that rare earths mining company. I forget the name of the company right now. And now they're talking about taking a 10% stake in Intel.
Hmm.
Um, this is according to some of the reports I'm reading recently. The idea is this is instead of giving them the money, we want something back. We want to take advantage of their success. So, what's your overall as someone whose politics are I think are similar to mine? What do you think about this idea? Most conservatives, you would think, would consider this to be a really bad idea.
I think it's an improvement than just giving the companies money. So like the government gets a share in the future profits. So like with medical research, I think we give these universities all this money, but the government doesn't get a share of the future profits of that drug. Um, so I think it should go both ways. Now, maybe people are just thinking, well, we shouldn't fund medical research, or we shouldn't
Right.
help companies that either are in trouble, or maybe with like this MP materials or whatever it's called, um, that we don't do this. But I think it's going to continue to happen, and I think a better course of action is the government gets a stake in the future economics of it.
And so this would go into a wealth fund, a sovereign wealth fund, or should it go into Social Security to save Social Security, or what do we do with the money if we actually make any money on this stuff?
I think it should go with that Fort Knox gold we supposedly have, but we chickened out on looking at the gold.
Okay, that's what we should put it. We should put it into a vault and just forget about it. Is that what you're saying? Someday we'll get those stock certificates out and go, wow, look.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to, like, if you're taking a stake in a company, to hang on to that stake for a number of years till they're in stronger financial position.
Mhm.
So I don't I think eventually you'd sell, but you'd wait to sell until the company is in a strong financial position and wouldn't need their stock to raise money.
So lots of countries have sovereign wealth funds.
Hmm.
It's a very common thing we don't
Yeah.
have in the United States. So in general, it kind of sounds like a good idea to have the sovereign wealth fund, at least for things like taking the royalties from extraction and whatnot, and,
Yeah.
and putting that into a sovereign wealth fund instead of just into the general budget. So I'm kind of I know I'm in favor of that. I just haven't decided how much I'm interested in any kind of a a, a broadening or increase in the amount that the government is just in the business of investing in various companies, kind of like picking winners and losers and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah, yeah,
I do agree with you. It's better if they save it in a sovereign wealth fund than just turn around and spend it.
right. There you go. All right, we have a very big day tomorrow as far as the market's concerned. It really, it's going to be a big day. Jackson Hole, we got Powell down there. I guess they're already down. They're already in Kansas, I guess it is, or Kansas City, Missouri. I'm not sure where Jackson Hole is. It's somewhere around
I
there.
think it's in Wyoming.
Was it in Wyoming? Okay, but I guess the Kansas City Fed president is the host for it. That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so I listened to him a little while ago, and they were talking, of course, about Governor Cook and her problem. So that may override the big question of tomorrow's meeting. So what do you think? Do you think the Fed will give us anything tomorrow, or do you think they'll be completely neutral, given the really good news that's happened over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect the Fed to do anything.
Do you think they'll be completely neutral, not hawkish,
Yeah.
dovish, just like as flat as could be?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough for them to to feel the need to act. We might be waiting until Jerome Powell's term is done. Is that April or May or something?
Something like that. Yeah, it's either April or May, something in that area. I don't know if I've asked you before, what do you think the Fed should do? Do you think that they should, the president says they should cut by 300. I think most conservative pundits are talking about 50 to 100 by the end of the year would be smart. What do you think?
I think they should cut and have the short-term rate closer to the rate of inflation.
Okay.
I think that's um
So
it'd
if we
be good if
say
the Fed did something like that.
if we say inflation is 2 3/4, maybe their rate should be 3 1/4
Or 2 3/4
or two and
maybe.
three quarters. I mean, right at the rate of inflation. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Let's go there for starters and then see.
Yeah, well, my argument is extremely pragmatic. It's not very philosophical. It's more like pragmatic. It's like the two parts of the industry, the two parts of our industry right now that have not recovered are housing and durables. And both of those are interest rate sensitive.
Yeah.
And it seems like we could drop these rates, which would help housing and durables. And if we're wrong and we get some inflation, okay, jack them back up again. But let's see if
Hmm.
we can help housing and durables. And maybe we don't get that much inflation out of the decision. That's my pragmatic, like, let's try it thought.
Hmm.
Okay. So anything else? That's all I've got on my list. I've run my entire list already. Did you anything else going out there in the Tesla land or in the economy that has been attracting your attention?
Not really.
Well then,
Curious to see what happens as from the big White House meeting that we had earlier this week. I'm curious to see where that goes.
yeah, what's going to happen with the war? And actually, it's interesting. We have both the Ukraine war and the war in Israel in Gaza, both like coming to an apex.
Hmm.
Because like Israel's already starting their last assault. So it's one way or the other. Either the last assault is going to end it, I think, or the opposition will say they'll put up the white flag finally and say, "Okay, we'll give you back the hostages, lay down our arms." I don't know. One of those two might happen fairly soon.
Hmm.
It'd be pretty wild to have both at the same time.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
let's get right to the numbers.
Well, let's do that then. Thank you so much for popping in for tonight. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
All right. Bye for now. All right. So where are those numbers? Well, let's go ahead and look. We have got Tesla in the after hours is actually up. I said this morning, I said it will get to the green. Remember? Well, it's not really truly to the green. It's up 22 cents after being down 386 for the day. So I guess we're not really back to the green, but at least we're in the green in the after hours. Um, Again, no telling where stocks are going to be going for the next little while here because it's really all been about Jackson Hole. And as you just heard, both of us think, I agree with them. I think the Fed gives no hint tomorrow. And what does that mean for the markets? Well, who knows? Maybe flat, maybe there'll be a reaction. I don't know, but everybody's hoping for this 50%, I mean, sorry, 50 basis point cut. And now people are thinking it's a 0 basis point cut. So, all right, let's go ahead and look at the bonds, which are impacted by that. Well, we've got a little bit of paring back, a little bit of just a tiny bit here. It was 0.4, and while I was watching it, it went down to 0.2. So you could almost call it unchanged. We're at 4.33, and we were under 4.3 there for a minute. I was hopeful, but with the way the direction is going for tomorrow, I think we're probably not going to be seeing anything under 4.3, at least in the immediate future. We have got oil also flat, basically unchanged, $63.47. Natural gas down a little bit, but very close to where it's been, $2.80. You've got gold flattish also, only up $1.30. That's at 33.82, which is pretty much where it's been for a couple of days. Been a very flat week for almost everything. The biggest one that's so we got silver, same thing, $38, and copper, $4.45. I mean, I feel like I'm saying the same numbers day after day. The dollar is down a little bit before the speech, but here's the big one: Bitcoin has been kind of leading in the negative direction. It's been leading by being down almost 10% now from its all-time high, down to 112,498. It's down today, 1575. The equities tomorrow are actually pointing up slightly, 0.15 for the Dow, 0.14 for the S&P, and 0.12 for the NASDAQ. I did read a little bit more today about the rotation, and definitely people are saying that there's a rotation that is in. that is continuing. It's not a very significant one. It's not like really big and obvious. I mean, you can see it. You see it, in kind of the daily numbers where the NASDAQ is not roaring ahead and the Russell is inching up, and some of the rest of the S&P and the Dow are definitely doing better. But it's not a giant rotation. Will it turn into one? That becomes one of the big questions. I think it would really, really help if the Fed dropped their interest rates. That would be more inclined to help the mid caps and the small caps, which are the ones that are also dragging in the business. As if you listen to my show this morning, if you didn't listen to the show this morning, it was really an important one. I recommend you do go back and check that out. That is the thing. I will put the card up right here for that, because there was a lot of reports today. It's a very long show, but there was lots of reports that were very valuable. They were very helpful in understanding where the economy is right now. And the economy seems to be doing okay. I know I've been saying for the last few weeks, I could see the possibility of a 1 month or a 1 quarter slowdown. But boy, the numbers that came out today would say, no, Randy, that's not going to happen. So we'll see. We'll see how all this plays out. What is this, Thursday? So yeah, it's right. That would be the one I would send you back to, would be from last night. Now you got Cern Basher coming up later tonight. I can tell you it's fantastic. I almost considered, because we were going to miss Nick, I almost considered just throwing Cern in at this hour, because the show that he's got coming up tonight, do not miss it. So if you've never ever in your life hit notify, this is the time to hit notify. And you can't do notify unless you subscribe. And that subscribing helps me, right? It's a really good thing if you subscribe. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.